What's up, everybody? Just want to go back and talk a little bit more about the Corvette. I actually get a lot of messages on the personal messages on Instagram as well, asking me more in detail of what all I've done to it. It's my brother's LS3 C6. He's got some work in it too. Pretty sick. So a lot of the questions that I get are asking more in detail, like what's on the engine and about the wheels and stuff like that, and how did I lower it so much. Okay, I'll gladly give you guys a list of what I've done to the engine, but I think a build is just personal choice for like my personal needs. So all the stuff I have, if you want to copy it directly, it might not fit your needs. Engine wise, I have a little list right here. I'll actually post this on the description so you guys can read it, because I'm just gonna go through it. The bottom end is actually stock. It's still a stock block, and that's still okay. It's a nodular crank with 4-bolt mains. I'll still approve on that later on because I am spinning the engine around 6,500 RPM. That's pretty high. Alright, so it's a Lloyd Elliot, it's a Lloyd Elliot LE1 Stage 1. It's based off of that, and those are the stock heads are ported to 195 cc. I think original they're like 175. There's some other work done to it, like valve reseat job. It has comp Beehive springs, retainers, and locators. Oh, and by the way, the intake is also ported as well, and it's port matched to the 58mm BBK Throttle Body. And that's going with the Vortex ram cold air intake I showed you guys on the last video. The cam, it's a comp cam, custom grind by Lloyd. So that's a 218, 224 with a 111 LSA. I use Canton valve covers, those huge valve covers. You got to do some work to them on both sides to get them to fit. But those are really cool. I like how that looks. It makes the engine look pretty mean in my opinion. Inside those valve covers I use Scorpion 1.6 narrow body self-aligning roller rockers. And those are moving EnginePro hardened rods at 7.2 inch, which is stock. The cab isn't so enormous that it needs a smaller rod, push rod, so that's pretty cool. Those are pushing the LS7 Delphi Lifters. Those were replaced, the originals. I also have a Melling Oil Pump. I use a SA gear double roller timing kit. And by the way, if you have a 95 and 96, you can get that working. On a lower gear LT1, you gotta do some grinding on the inside of the timing cover to get that to work. It just won't clear. I also have FTI 9.5 inch 2500 stall torque converter. That's actually not installed yet because I need to work on the transmission. It's acting up a little bit right now. And well, with that torque converter you need an oil cooler for the transmission. That's actually installed right now. It's a Hayden 689 oil cooler. I use Accel 30-pound injectors compared to the 24-pound injectors. Walbro 255 liter per hour fuel pump. Okay, and she's running on a Meziere HD electric water pump, and you need to buy a relay kit with that. There's a way to install it. Maybe I might make a video later on how to do that as well. That works very good together, the radiator and the electric water pump, like I said earlier in my last video. And the radiator is actually, it's a bigger radiator. It's by Champion. It's a 2-row TIG welded aluminum radiator, much like it's basically a DeWitt's copy, but the DeWitt's radiator, I think it's like $800. So I saved some money going with a Champion, which I think it's like a direct copy. Still works just as good. I have a red Samco silicone radiator hoses. NGK TR55 plugs, those work very well with this engine, and they're Cat 240 with that count. I use Radiator wires, and yeah, she's got a Corsa Catback system. Now, this Corsa will fit with the headers that I got, which are by Exotic Muscle headers. If you ask for his Corsa kit, or the tubing, the extra tubing, and it'll be a pretty easy job for the welder to get them together. Alright, it's tuned by Solomon at lt1pcmtuning.com. And for the wheels, or the fitment, all of that. Check out that fitment right there. So everybody's saying I'm probably destroying my undercarriage, but I'm actually not. And there's, yeah, it's true, there's really hardly any give right there, but on the rear you don't actually have to worry. There's enough space down there, nothing will actually hit. The suspension is set up pretty tight so that it won't, you know, bounce around too much. And on the front, you actually do need to worry about a couple of areas. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but the headers, you can see they're kind of slightly bent up, like flattened. They're still fine. I mean, they're made of steel. They'll be fine. So other than the headers, and I don't really worry, like, baby this car so much, so I'm not too worried about the headers. But other than the headers, your oil pan is in there somewhere, right in the middle, and it's kind of not so exposed, but when you have road bumps in the middle of the road and your car might be bouncing up and down, and you hit one of those road bumps while you bounce down on it or something, because this actually happened to me, you're gonna hit your oil pan, and yeah, that could be a problem. Luckily the oil pan is so freaking strong, that thing's a beast. It didn't really do much. I mean, you just scraped the hell out of it. When it hit the asphalt, it's still fine. The other area is right on the front. Oh yeah, that's anime character. She's like sweating, all worried because she's too low. Okay, the other area of concern is the impact bar. I mean, at least this thing was actually made to hit, right? But still, I actually don't hit it so much. Check out the ground clearance on that. I mean, golly, no wonder people are saying that I'm crazy. I actually don't hit it very much, guys. I seen it. Doesn't have a lot of scratches on it or anything. Alright, so these wheels, they're custom made, like I had said in my last video. They're 19-inch in diameter back and front, and the fronts aren't so wide. They're actually 9-inch wide with 245s. Yeah, and these Wilwood brakes. Somebody was gonna get Wilwood brakes, and they were asking me if they'll clear a certain wheel they had in mind. And I said, you know what? I think they would. If they clear the stock calipers, they will clear the wheel widths, because I actually had to measure these when I got my wheels made. And they're no fatter than they don't protrude as much as like the stock calipers, which is pretty cool because these are the big brake system, and the brake difference is night and day. Brakes a whole lot better. Now on the rear, I did get kind of crazy with the fitment. Those are 11-inch on the rear, but with 45 offset. The front is a 39 offset with 9-inch wide, by the way. Anyway, the rear, I actually kind of overdid it on the offset on purpose. Just actually a camber. You can't really tell. So that would, you know, go inside the fenders a little bit. And I did this because I wanted them as wide as possible and the fitment to be as extreme as possible, so I could also get like the deepest dish as possible as well. Can't get a huge deep dish on a low offset car because the stock offset on this car is 56, I believe, front and back, and that's not a lot of room to work with. Gonna get some fender flare work done and widen those rear wheels like an inch and a half more. So imagine that, it's gonna be like that much more deep dish. It's gonna look freaking insane. Okay, what can I say about the ride quality? It is not comfortable. It is hard, but it drives like a race car. Honestly, it feels like an F1 car. Those van steel coilovers, you can't really set them up too soft. They just have like this really performance riding signature, and that's the way they should be, in my opinion. And one of the things that people might say is, you know, I'm destroying the car with how low it is. Like I said, holy crap, that ground clearance is pretty wicked when I see it. But one thing that can wear is like the original bushings, because they're so old on this car. And I know there's some poly bushing replacements that you can get, and those won't last a long time either. And then those are even crazy hard as well, as they're more harder than the original, so that will make your ride quality even worse. But I may be wrong about this, but there's actually a company in Australia, I believe, that makes replacement bushings that are actually quality. They did this for that reason that there's actually no replacements, since these are quality bushings that they make, and they ride very well. They're really high quality. But that's a really good idea. If you guys need to replace them, you could put those on. Okay, so that was another inside look of more details on what I've done to this. I get a lot of interest, just a lot of interest around it, so I hope that helps you guys out. And before I go, I did want to say that since I get a lot of questions about this, people are asking me what they can do to make their car look like this and sound like this, and they have like a smaller budget, right? But I always tell them that they need to put a lot of money on the side, because this stuff ain't cheap. Some guys even get upset, but that's the truth, guys. A lot of this stuff costs a lot of money. I mean, we're paying Corvette tax on top of that, so we have to deal with that as well. And you can't really do it for cheap. That's the truth of it. You're not gonna get wheels like this for $1,000 or even $2,000. And even the coilovers, exhaust system and stuff, that costs thousands and thousands of dollars. So guys, just save up, be patient, and eventually you'll have an awesome machine. I'm still working on this one. If I wasn't sick or ill, I would do some even more crazy things, but I'll hopefully be able to do that later on. And I can't wait for you guys to see what I have planned.